Hi, this is Denise Matthew, and welcome to episode 56 of the Mandala of Life, 365 Days to Self-Discovery. Today, we're staying with logic, and we're moving to the next process of logic. Where the format energy of the Gate 9 looked for something to focus on, the Gate 5 has the pattern, and now it's about fixing the pattern so that we can someday go to mastery. The nature of all logical energy is that the end game is to have mastery of some sort, and mastery requires patterns, repetition, and routines. This is a place where your rhythm and routines are the most important part of your life, because when you connect with your inner flow, that's when you have an opportunity to connect with the universal flow. And when you're in the flow of life that matches exactly who you are, that's when the opportunities that are specifically made for you can come into your trajectory, but only if you can connect with and align with exactly what's right for you. There's much magic and secrets within the mandala of life, within the mandala of human design, and as we go through, we can discover the patterns that show up. And when we get to the Gate 5, we see that it's connected to the Gate 9. In the mandala, they're side by side. So it's a continuation of the flow of energy, where we move from one process to the next. And in this way, the formats start a pattern or start a place to focus, a pattern to fix on. And then the energy flows into the tantric channels, or the channels that we could say are part of being in the flow of life, in some way being connected to all life forms on planet Earth. And yet when we find the patterns that work for us and the flow that is just specific to who we are, it still remains uniquely our own, and it could be considered like a snowflake in a blanket of snow. Each individual snowflake still contains the essence of who it is, and yet when you see the blanket of snow, it is connected and all one. The Gate 5 is half of the channel 515. This is a place where the secret of life itself exists. This is the tantric energy of the higher version of loving humanity. And it's also the place that Uru Hu said that when we connect with our own fixed patterns and our own inner flow, everything and anything is possible in our life. The life that the 515 talks about is the generated life, or the aura that we all live in. The life that says that we are here to respond to the world all around us. Manifestors respond to their inner knowing. Generators respond to the world outside. Projectors respond to invitations. And reflectors respond to the cycles of the moon. This energy says that if the pattern is okay, then life is okay. But before we get into new content, let's quickly go over what we talked about in our last episode. In our last episode, we talked about the Gate 9 and how it's half of the channel, the 952. This is where we find a format energy, or the energy that powers all logical energy, or logical collective energy. This is where everything begins, where we focus on something that we may someday want to master. It can be a place where it's difficult to focus, to find that thing that we need to focus on. But when we do, that's all we can see and all we can do. This is also the place where Uru Hu said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. It's only in taking our first step, having confidence that although we may not know when the rewards will come, they will eventually come, that we can get ahead in life and get to the destination and get the mastery that we've always dreamt of. And when we found that thing that we want to fix and focus on, the thing that we do want to bring to mastery, that's when we move the energy to the Gate 5, where the pattern can be fixed, and finally move to the throat center, where all manifestation happens. And if you want to find out more about the Gate 9, please check out episode 55 of the Mandala of Life. With that said, let's get into new content. And please feel free to check out the other episodes of the Mandala of Life. While all channels have a quantum when they're activated, the 515 channel becomes something altogether different when we have the full channel, as opposed to having a hanging Gate 5 or a hanging Gate 15. With the hanging Gate 5, we have fixed patterns, a way of doing things, and a way of wanting to have routine in our life because that makes us feel good. The type of routine that we want is always going to be something that is fixed for us in our own internal pattern, and something that is tailored to what we want to do in our life. The gate 15 is all about extremes. This is also called the love of humanity. This is where we don't have a pattern and we don't have a fixed way of being. But when we bring these two energies together, it forms a quantum, as all full channels do. But this quantum becomes one of the most magnetic forces on planet Earth. This is where we have a flow of energy and a flow of life that is so specific, so fixed, that anybody who carries the full energy of the 515 can be a magnetizing force where people want to be around them and want to be in their flow because it naturally feels like a good thing to do. And when people align with this flow, they naturally feel as if they're moving within that flow of energy. Yet even though they're aligning with that flow, people still maintain their own individuality and their own individual energy and aura. But the person with the full channel completely changes the energy all around. This energy says that if you're not in my pattern, you're not my people. This is considered the most sharing collective force in human design. But the most important part of the energy of the 515 is that whoever comes and wants to be in your personal flow or the flow of who you are has to do that of their own volition or of their own accord. They can't be forced into it, because as soon as they are, then that's when the magic ceases to exist. And all the power that can come from this channel fizzles out. When we talk about the tantra of this energy and we talk about the higher version of the love of humanity, we realize in order to love humanity, we must love extremes too, because humanity is so diverse in how it exists. There are so many different types of people and how they move through the world that if we cannot connect and be okay with extremes, then it's difficult to truly love humanity as an entire force. When this pattern of the tantric energy is set and it feels like it's stable, that's when we can connect with the love of self and the gate 10. But since we're talking about the gate 5 today, let's talk about the hanging gate 5. The gate 5 really is about this idea of having very fixed patterns, having a fixed way of being, and not liking to have change or routines that are disrupted in any way. This is always using the same products because they feel correct to you. And when we talk about the energy of these particular patterns, it really is connected to this idea of not a thought out process, but something that is kind of told to you by your body or your instinctive way of being. When we're trying to use our brain or our mind to find our own personal flow, it's not generally going to work because we know that the sacral isn't considered an awareness center. So there isn't awareness that comes from this energy, only this ability to wait and to instinctively feel the correct flow for you and to actually align with that and to adopt the rituals and routines that align with you, that make you feel as if you have the stability. Because ultimately, when we're coming to patterns and logic and anything like that, this is always about having a stability in the pattern, having this security that the pattern will continue to repeat over and again and everything will be stable. And when we have stability, we're going to fight to make sure that the stability maintains. So this would be considered deeply rhythmic energy. And when we have it at its highest potential, this is something that we're instinctively knowing when the timing is correct with anything in life. We know where the flow of life is, when we're meant to go, when we're meant to stay, when we're meant to rest, when we're meant to eat. Those are the kind of patterns that we just instinctively know because our bodies or that instinctive energy within us has told us. And we could many times say the gut feeling has told us that that's the way we're meant to go. This is where you feel like you're never trapped within the outer world situations because internally you know that the flow that you're in is the correct flow for you and it will take you to the places that you want to go in your life. This is the 6th gate of the Quarter of Mutation, where purpose is fulfilled through transformation. If we circle back to the concept that Uru Hu said that all of us are in some way waiting or responding, we can look at the concept that he said he himself had to wait or was always waiting to manifest. Manifestation is part of the Maya, or it's part of life in general, and we're all wanting and waiting to manifest something in our reality. And that means every type. is going to manifest something in your reality. The core belief of human design is that if you use the strategy and authority that is connected to who you are, then that is when you can have manifestation happen within your reality. It's a gift that all of us have an opportunity to receive, but it is a gift that the universe decides when it decides. And that's where we get the concept that after we've done everything we can, we wait for manifestation to make its presence known. This energy can also talk about the unified theory, which talks about the ability to be able to see that all things merge into one creative force, which makes sense that the Gate 5 is truly connected to all life forms and Mother Earth in general. You can have a sense of being an environmentalist or wanting to save the planet in some way because you can see that all life forms are worthy of life. You might love to be outdoors, to walk in the grass, and to align with nature as a whole. This energy also reminds us that the flow of life contains all the answers and our life purpose and the places that we need to go. And just because we don't see our path in its entirety doesn't mean that things are not happening behind the scenes. Life is built on ebbs and flows, and things stop and then they start again. And it's important to remember that the pauses between the musical notes is what makes music. So seeing that although we may not have everything in focus, things still are happening. And as long as we're aligning with our own personal reality and our own personal flow and not trying to align or conform to the flow of others, then that is when we can find our own destiny, our own opportunities, and the place that is exactly and specifically made for just you. And when we've made peace with waiting and knowing that our personal flow will take us exactly where we are meant to go, the mandala of life turns again, and we move into the energy of surrender. This is the Gate 26, the Gate of the Trickster, half of a design of a transmitter. Well, that's all for now, and I'll be back again soon with episode 57, the Gate 26, the Gate of the Egoist. Until then, take care, and I'll see you again soon.